Ever since we were little, our dad would go on these crazy business trips all over the world. He'd only be gone for a few days, even though he was traveling to weird places across the globe.
He never told us what he worked for exactly, so we just assumed he was CIA or some sort of Russian spy.
He said he worked for a retail consulting company or something like that. Always making sure, though, that we knew what businesses he was working for, like Barnes & Noble and Toys R Us.
With Toys R Us, I mean, come on, that's just stuff's made up, so, again, we thought he was CIA.
Now that we're older, we know that Dad works for JDA Software.
Or JDA, yeah, whoever that is.
I think it's a retail consulting company.
Oh, that's what he always says. Anyway, our dad's not a spy, though. That's silly. Right?
Right?
There's a man who leads a life of danger. To everyone he meets, he stays a stranger. With every move he makes.
I think I've worked with Steve on 3 separate gigs. I first thought something was unusual about Steve when we were heading to Cabela's in the snow and ice storm. Steve was driving and a gust of wind caused the car to spin violently. Steve was a master of controlling that thing, whipping the wheel back and forth to bring the car into control. It was like he'd done this 100 times before. At one point I heard him shout something that, when I think back, sounded strangely like Russian.
Steve joined the studio about 4 years ago. Things came a little too easy for him. I really got this feeling that sometimes he really knew all the material, but he was just like acting like it was the first time he was executing the material.
Secret Asian man, secret Asian man.
So he's here one day, and we're out at one of our Fred Meyer stores, and I'm showing him around, and you wouldn't believe this. This guy decides to do a grabbing dash right in front of us. He goes flying by with all this merchandise. The next thing I know, Steve takes off after this guy, chases him down, throws these crazy martial arts moves on him, and pins him to the ground. The guy was crying for his mommy. So we walk off, and he kind of grabs me by the arm, and he's like, you know what, you cannot tell anybody about this.
Normally we'd go out to dinner each night, except for one night each week when Steve said he had other plans. I asked, but he'd never tell me what he was doing. I'm telling you, that was strange.
Giving you a number and taking away your name.
Yes, I met Steve at JDA Connect in London in October. Rather a normal-looking chap, 5'9", brown hair. In fact, Steve was what you would call ordinary. He blended anywhere, except his eyes were always alert, looking around. 2 things were rather unusual. First, he really appeared to know all the hotel staff. I saw him a few times laughing and cracking jokes as one of the porters. But the really weird thing was that Steve and I were talking about Gloria jeans, and I was telling him how brutally cold and unforgiving it is in winter. And Steve said he didn't mind the Russian winters much, and he'd be okay at Gloria jeans. In fact, he told me he spoke Russian fluently.
Let me see. Steve's about 5'10" or so, blonde hair and blue eyes. He always wore sunglasses, almost from the second we stepped outside, even at night. He also said he'd never been to Mumbai before, but I got the impression that he knew all the streets better than I did. One more thing. He talked with the hotel staff as though he knew them all, and I swear I haven't heard him speak Hindi. I don't know, it was kind of creepy and a little suspicious.
I mean, there are times, especially when we were sparring or there's some hand-to-hand work, he just kind of looked like he held back. Sometimes I wonder if he was just messing with us or something. But you know, I'm almost a 4th degree, and I understand he's about to get his first, but I don't know. I don't think I want to meet him definitely.
Hi guys, come on in, come on in. So, you know this is time of thing for the
kidding? Listen to that thing. It hisses at me all day long. I'm not retired, really. It's just Steve. He made me retire. Honestly, he gave me the money for this place so that I could get out of his way, because he is an addict. He is an international travel addict, and he comes and visits me twice a month, and just to make sure that I'm still here. And hang on.